The Roman soldiers' day began long before the first light touched the horizon. In the freezing darkness of early morning, the sound of a horn ripped through the silence of the military camp, forcing exhausted men from their sleep. There was no comfort waiting for them, no warm meal beside the fire, no gentle awakening. They rose from rough blankets laid across hard earth with aching muscles and stiff joints from the previous day's march. Many had slept in cold rain or bitter wind, yet hesitation was never tolerated. A legionnaire who moved too slowly could face humiliation or punishment before sunrise. In the Roman army, discipline was more important than comfort, and obedience mattered more than personal suffering. The soldier quickly learned that his body no longer belonged to him. It belonged to Rome. As the camp slowly came alive, centurions moved through the rows of tents like predators watching for weakness. Armor had to shine. Sandals had to be repaired. Weapons had to remain razor-sharp at all times. Every buckle, strap, and piece of equipment was inspected with ruthless attention. If a shield was dirty or a sword neglected, punishment could come immediately. Some men were beaten in front of the entire unit to remind others what failure looked like. Roman officers believed fear created stronger soldiers, and they ruled with absolute authority. The vine staff carried by centurions became a symbol of terror inside the legion. One careless mistake could leave bruises across a soldier's back before the day had even truly begun. Training never stopped inside the Roman army. Even veterans who had survived years of warfare were forced to drill endlessly like new recruits. Soldiers practiced with wooden swords heavier than real weapons so that actual combat would feel lighter and faster. They attacked wooden posts for hours until their hands blistered and bled. Under the burning sun, men repeated shield formations again and again until movement became instinct. Commands had to be obeyed instantly without confusion or hesitation. Rome understood something its enemies often did not: battles were not won by emotion or bravery alone. They were won by discipline, coordination, and repetition. A Roman legionnaire was trained to move like part of a machine rather than an individual man. The marches themselves were a punishment few modern people could truly imagine. Roman soldiers often traveled over 20 miles a day while carrying enormous weight on their backs. Shields, weapons, armor, tools, food supplies, cooking equipment, and wooden stakes for camp defenses all had to be carried by the men themselves. The burden could reach nearly 80 pounds, crushing shoulders and grinding feet raw against leather sandals. Roads stretched endlessly across forests, mountains, muddy valleys, and dry deserts. Rain soaked their clothing for days at a time while winter winds froze exposed skin numb. Yet the pace rarely slowed. Soldiers who collapsed from exhaustion could be beaten for weakness or abandoned entirely during dangerous campaigns. Food was simple, repetitive, and often scarce. Most meals consisted of coarse bread, porridge, dried fruit, or salted meat when supplies allowed it. Hunger followed the legion everywhere because campaigns often lasted months or years far from major cities. Soldiers cooked over small fires after exhausting labor, eating quickly before another order interrupted their rest. Clean water was not always available, forcing many to drink watered wine or whatever muddy sources could be found nearby. Disease spread easily inside crowded camps where sanitation was poor and medical knowledge limited. A minor infection could kill a man just as surely as an enemy sword. Yet despite these conditions, Roman soldiers were expected to continue functioning without complaint. Building camps became another brutal part of daily military life. After marching for hours across hostile territory, the soldiers could not simply sleep when they reached their destination. Every evening, they were ordered to construct fortified camps before darkness fully arrived. Trenches had to be dug around the perimeter while wooden stakes formed defensive walls strong enough to repel surprise attacks. Watchtowers, gates, roads, and organized rows of tents were established with astonishing speed. Roman camps were designed with strict precision no matter where the army traveled. Even when exhausted beyond reason, soldiers worked under the threat of punishment until every defensive position satisfied their officers. Rome trusted discipline and preparation more than luck. Fear haunted nearly every soldier, even those who pretended otherwise. Before battle, men often sat silently sharpening blades while listening to distant enemy war cries beyond the camp walls. Some prayed to the gods while others stared into the fire thinking of families they might never see again. Roman soldiers understood how quickly death arrived in combat. They had witnessed friends struck down beside them by arrows, spears, or crushing blows during previous campaigns. There was no illusion about glory among men who had survived real warfare. Battlefields smelled of blood, sweat, mud, and death. Screams echoed through chaos while shields splintered and bodies disappeared beneath marching formations. The fear never fully vanished. Soldiers simply learned how to bury it beneath obedience. Punishments inside the Roman army could be horrifyingly cruel. Desertion, cowardice, or disobedience were treated as threats against the entire legion. A soldier caught fleeing battle could face execution in front of his comrades. One of the most feared punishments was decimation, where every 10th man in a disgraced unit was beaten to death by his fellow soldiers as an example to the rest. Even minor offenses could result in reduced food rations, public beatings, or humiliating labor assignments. Rome believed mercy weakened military strength, so harsh discipline became deeply rooted within the army's culture. Fear of punishment often drove soldiers forward just as much as loyalty to the empire itself. Despite the suffering, powerful bonds formed between the men serving together. Roman soldiers relied completely on the shields beside them during combat, knowing survival depended on trust and coordination. They marched together, suffered together, and watched death pass dangerously close together. Many recruits entered the army as strangers from distant regions of the empire, speaking different languages and carrying different customs. Yet over time, hardship united them into something stronger than friendship. The legion became a brotherhood forged through pain and endurance. Around campfires after long marches, soldiers shared stories of home, laughed at dark humor, and found brief moments of humanity inside a brutal existence designed to crush weakness from their spirits. For most Roman soldiers, life inside the legion lasted decades. Many enlisted as teenagers and spent the strongest years of their lives serving far from home on dangerous frontiers. Some guarded freezing borders in Britannia while others fought rebellions in scorching eastern deserts. The empire demanded constant expansion, constant defense, and constant sacrifice from its armies. By the time many veterans finally earned retirement, their bodies were scarred, broken, and exhausted from years of warfare and labor. Yet Rome continued standing because generation after generation of ordinary men endured impossible hardship under the eagle banners, carrying the empire forward through discipline stronger than fear itself. When people imagine the Roman Empire, they often picture magnificent marble temples, roaring crowds inside the Colosseum, victorious emperors draped in gold, and endless armies marching proudly beneath crimson banners. Ancient Rome is remembered as one of the greatest civilizations in human history, a symbol of power, intelligence, conquest, and order. Its roads stretched across continents, its laws shaped future nations, and its military conquered lands from Britannia to the deserts of the Middle East. To the outside world, Rome looked unstoppable, almost immortal. But behind the beauty of its architecture and the glory of its triumphs existed a far darker reality built on pain, sacrifice, and relentless suffering. The empire's greatness was not created by luxury. It was built upon the broken bodies and exhausted lives of ordinary soldiers who paid the true price of Roman power. For the Roman legionnaire, glory was rarely part of daily life. Most soldiers came from poor families seeking survival, food, citizenship, or steady pay. Many joined the army as teenagers with little understanding of the brutal existence waiting for them. They quickly discovered that the Roman military cared little about personal comfort or individual dreams. Once enlisted, a soldier belonged entirely to the empire. His time, strength, and future were controlled by military discipline. He could be sent thousands of miles from home without warning, forced into endless campaigns across hostile territories where disease, starvation, and violence became normal parts of life. The shining image of Rome meant nothing to a hungry legionnaire marching through freezing rain with bleeding feet and an empty stomach. The Roman army survived because it demanded absolute endurance from its men. Soldiers marched incredible distances carrying heavy equipment that crushed their shoulders and weakened their bodies over time. Armor, weapons, tools, food supplies, and construction materials all traveled on the backs of the legionnaires themselves. They crossed mountains, forests, deserts, and muddy plains regardless of weather conditions. Blazing heat burned their skin during summer campaigns while icy winds cut through thin clothing in northern territories. Many men developed infections, swollen joints, and permanent injuries long before reaching old age. Yet the army never slowed for weakness. Rome's success depended on movement, speed, and constant pressure against its enemies, and the soldiers paid for that success with their physical health every single day. The battlefield exposed the true brutality hidden behind Rome's legendary victories. Ancient warfare was savage beyond imagination, far removed from heroic stories told by poets and politicians. Roman soldiers fought in tightly packed formations where survival depended on discipline and ruthless efficiency. During combat, the air filled with screams, flying arrows, shattered shields, and the metallic smell of blood. Men were stabbed, crushed, trampled, and dismembered within moments. A single mistake in formation could lead to massacre. Soldiers witnessed horrifying injuries so frequently that death became an expected companion rather than a shocking event. Friends who shared meals beside the fire one night could be lying lifeless in the dirt by sunrise. The empire expanded through these brutal confrontations, one battlefield at a time. Fear ruled every corner of military life. Roman officers believed terror was one of the most effective tools for maintaining control over the army. Discipline inside the legion was harsh, unforgiving, and often cruel. Centurions carried vine staffs used to beat soldiers for mistakes, disobedience, or hesitation. Punishments were public so the entire unit could witness the consequences of weakness. Soldiers feared humiliation almost as much as enemy weapons. In extreme cases, units accused of cowardice faced horrifying penalties like decimation, where every 10th soldier was executed by his own comrades. Rome demanded obedience above all else because commanders understood that discipline kept armies functioning even when fear threatened to destroy morale. Life on campaign offered little rest even when battles ended. Roman soldiers were expected to work constantly regardless of exhaustion. After marching all day across dangerous territory, they immediately began constructing fortified camps before nightfall. Trenches were dug, walls raised, watchtowers built, and defensive positions established with remarkable speed. These camps protected the army from surprise attacks, but building them required enormous physical labor from men already drained by endless marching. Even after completing these tasks, soldiers still needed to clean weapons, repair equipment, prepare meals, and stand guard throughout the night. Sleep became a luxury many rarely enjoyed properly during long campaigns. The empire's military efficiency came directly from this relentless routine of labor and discipline. Disease killed countless Roman soldiers long before enemy armies had the chance. Camps were crowded, sanitation was poor, and medical treatment remained primitive by modern standards. Minor wounds could become deadly infections within days. Contaminated water spread sickness rapidly through entire units while poor nutrition weakened immune systems during harsh campaigns. Fever, dysentery, and respiratory illnesses silently claimed thousands of lives across the empire's frontiers. In distant territories far from Rome itself, soldiers often suffered without adequate supplies or medical care. Many died anonymously in foreign lands, buried quickly beside roads or battlefields without recognition. History celebrated victorious generals and emperors, but the suffering of ordinary soldiers was often forgotten. The emotional burden carried by Roman soldiers was equally devastating. Many spent decades separated from their families, never knowing when or if they would return home. Fathers missed the childhoods of their sons. Young men watched their closest friends die violently beside them. Some soldiers spent years stationed in isolated frontier forts surrounded by hostile tribes and endless uncertainty. Loneliness became part of military existence. Letters from home traveled slowly, if they arrived at all, and many soldiers slowly lost connection with the lives they once knew. Over time, war hardened them emotionally. The constant exposure to violence and death changed the minds of countless men who entered the army as hopeful recruits and emerged as exhausted survivors. Rome's economy and political stability depended heavily on military conquest, which meant the suffering never truly stopped. As long as the empire expanded, soldiers continued marching into dangerous territories to secure new land, resources, and wealth for Rome. Rebellions constantly erupted across distant provinces, forcing legions into brutal campaigns year after year. Frontier borders required permanent defense against invading tribes and hostile kingdoms. Even during periods of relative peace, soldiers remained trapped in exhausting cycles of patrols, labor, and preparation for future wars. The empire's greatness relied entirely on maintaining military dominance, and maintaining that dominance required endless sacrifice from ordinary men whose lives were consumed by service. Despite the brutality surrounding them, Roman soldiers developed extraordinary resilience. Hardship shaped them into disciplined fighters capable of surviving conditions that would break most people. The legion became more than an army, it became a brotherhood forged through suffering. Soldiers depended on one another for survival in battle and during the long hardships of campaign life. Shared pain created deep loyalty between men standing shoulder to shoulder beneath the eagle standards. Around campfires at night, they laughed, argued, told stories, and tried to hold on to fragments of humanity within a system built upon violence and endurance. These ordinary soldiers carried Rome across continents not because they lived glorious lives, but because they learned how to endure relentless hardship without surrendering. Behind every Roman road, every conquered city, every towering monument, and every imperial victory stood generations of exhausted legionnaires whose sacrifices made the empire possible. The marble temples admired by history were built upon endless labor and bloodshed. Rome's legendary power came not from its emperors alone, but from ordinary soldiers forced to march farther, fight harder, and suffer longer than nearly any army of the ancient world. Beneath the image of glory existed hunger, fear, exhaustion, punishment, loneliness, and death. The empire rose because millions of men carried its weight upon their shoulders, enduring brutal realities hidden behind the shining legend of ancient Rome. In the Roman army, survival depended on more than strength or courage. A single soldier standing alone on the battlefield was vulnerable, frightened, and easily overwhelmed. Rome understood this deeply, which is why the legion was designed around unity, discipline, and brotherhood. Every man inside the formation relied completely on the soldier beside him. Shields overlapped together, movements were synchronized, and commands were obeyed instantly. The Roman legion functioned like a living wall of iron and flesh where one weak point could destroy the entire line. From the moment a recruit entered training, he was taught that individual glory meant nothing compared to the survival of the unit. A Roman soldier learned quickly that his life rested in the hands of the men marching beside him every day. The bond between legionnaires was not created through speeches or ceremonies. It was forged through shared suffering. Soldiers marched together across endless miles of rough terrain carrying crushing loads on their backs while enduring rain, hunger, heat, and exhaustion. They slept beside one another on freezing ground and woke before sunrise to continue the same brutal routine. Every hardship strengthened the connection between the men because they understood that nobody else in the empire truly knew what they endured. Civilians celebrated victories in distant cities, but the soldiers themselves carried the scars of those victories upon their bodies. The legion became a second family built not by blood, but by pain, endurance, and survival. Inside the military camp, friendships formed in the middle of constant danger and uncertainty. Around small fires at night, exhausted soldiers shared stories of their homes, their families, and the lives they had left behind. Some came from farms in Italy while others traveled from distant provinces across the empire. Different accents, cultures, and beliefs slowly blended together under the discipline of Roman military life. Men who had once been strangers became brothers because survival demanded trust stronger than fear. During campaigns that lasted years, these bonds often became the only source of comfort soldiers possessed. A legionnaire knew the man beside him would stand in battle or die trying, and that trust became stronger than words. Combat tested those bonds in the most terrifying ways imaginable. Before battle, fear spread silently through the ranks no matter how experienced the soldiers were. Even hardened veterans felt dread tightening inside their chests as enemy war cries echoed across the battlefield. Roman soldiers understood the reality of combat better than anyone. They had seen men torn apart by blades, crushed beneath cavalry, or pierced by arrows within seconds. Yet when the order came to advance, the legion moved together. Shields locked tightly while rows of soldiers marched forward in disciplined formation. Every man depended on the others to hold the line. Panic from one soldier could spread chaos through the ranks, which is why unity became more powerful than bravery itself. The Roman shield wall represented more than military strategy. It symbolized trust between soldiers fighting for survival together. Each shield protected not only the man holding it, but also the soldier beside him. Legionnaires stood shoulder to shoulder so closely that they could feel each other breathing during battle. The sound of swords striking shields echoed violently across the line while soldiers pushed against enemy formations with all their strength. Dust, screams, blood, and confusion surrounded them from every direction. Yet inside that chaos, discipline kept the Roman army functioning. Men fought not only for Rome, but for the brothers standing beside them whose lives depended on their courage and steadiness under pressure. Death was an unavoidable part of military life, and every Roman soldier carried the memory of fallen comrades. During campaigns, men watched close friends disappear suddenly in moments of violence. A soldier sharing jokes around the fire one evening might lie dead in the mud the next morning with no warning at all. These losses deeply affected the survivors even if they rarely spoke openly about grief. Roman military culture demanded toughness, but no amount of discipline could completely erase the emotional weight of watching brothers die. Some soldiers carried guilt for surviving battles that others did not. Others became emotionally hardened after witnessing death so many times that they learned to bury sorrow beneath silence and routine. Loyalty inside the legion often became stronger than loyalty to the empire itself. Many soldiers cared less about emperors or political leaders in Rome and more about protecting the men in their unit. The shared struggle of military life created deep emotional connections that lasted decades. Soldiers ate together, fought together, suffered punishments together, and endured endless hardships side by side. During dangerous campaigns far from home, the legion became the center of their world. A Roman soldier trusted his fellow legionnaires with his life every single day because survival depended on unity stronger than fear or exhaustion. Even in moments away from battle, danger remained constant along the empire's frontiers. Soldiers stationed in distant forts faced surprise attacks, harsh weather, disease, and isolation from civilization. Guards stood watch through freezing nights listening for movement beyond the walls while others patrolled hostile territory where ambushes could happen without warning. These conditions strengthened the brotherhood among the men because constant danger forced them to rely on one another emotionally as well as physically. Humor, shared meals, gambling games, and conversations around campfires became small acts of humanity inside a brutal existence dominated by military discipline and uncertainty. Training reinforced the importance of unity at every level. Roman recruits drilled endlessly in formations designed to create instinctive cooperation between soldiers. They practiced advancing together, retreating together, and responding instantly to commands under pressure. Officers punished selfish behavior harshly because the legion depended entirely on collective discipline. A reckless soldier chasing personal glory could endanger the lives of everyone around him. Rome's military success came not from individual heroes, but from ordinary men functioning together with relentless precision. The strength of the Roman army existed in its ability to transform thousands of individuals into a single organized force capable of surviving chaos and overwhelming enemies through discipline and coordination. Through years of hardship, battle, fear, and sacrifice, Roman soldiers built a brotherhood unlike anything most civilians could understand. They survived terrifying wars not because they were fearless, but because they refused to abandon one another when fear threatened to consume them. Every march, every battle, every sleepless night on the frontier strengthened the invisible bond connecting the legion together. Beneath the eagle standard stood men who trusted each other more deeply than words could express, men whose survival depended entirely on unity forged through suffering, loyalty, and the brutal realities of life inside the Roman army. The story of the Roman Legionnaire is far more than a tale of ancient warfare and empire. Beneath the armor, the marching formations, and the battlefield victories lies a powerful lesson about human endurance that still speaks across centuries. Roman soldiers lived in a world filled with pain, uncertainty, fear, and constant hardship, yet they continued moving forward because survival demanded resilience stronger than comfort. Their lives reveal a truth many people struggle to accept in the modern world: strength is not created during easy moments. It is forged through pressure, sacrifice, discipline, and the ability to continue despite exhaustion. The Roman soldier became powerful not because life was kind to him, but because hardship forced him to adapt or be destroyed. Modern society often celebrates comfort above all else. People search constantly for easier paths, faster rewards, and lives free from struggle. Convenience surrounds daily existence in ways unimaginable to the ancient world. Yet comfort can slowly weaken determination when every challenge is avoided the moment difficulty appears. The Roman legionnaire lived in a complete opposite reality. Nothing about his existence was easy. He marched through storms, endured hunger, slept on frozen ground, and faced death regularly without certainty he would survive another campaign. Despite this brutal life, he developed extraordinary mental toughness because hardship became part of his daily existence rather than something feared or escaped. The Roman army understood that discipline mattered more than motivation. A soldier could not rely on emotion to carry him through endless marches or terrifying battles. Feelings changed constantly, but discipline remained dependable. Legionnaires woke before sunrise whether they felt ready or not. They trained when exhausted, obeyed commands under pressure, and continued marching even when every muscle in their body demanded rest. This mindset offers a lesson still valuable today. Success in any difficult pursuit often depends less on temporary inspiration and more on the ability to continue through discomfort. The Roman soldier survived because he learned to act with discipline regardless of fear, fatigue, or emotion. Hardship also taught Roman soldiers the importance of endurance over immediate reward. Many campaigns lasted years, forcing men to sacrifice comfort and personal freedom for goals that seemed far away. They crossed continents without knowing when they would return home or whether they would return at all. Progress came slowly through endless labor, suffering, and patience. Modern life often encourages instant gratification, where people expect quick success and immediate results. The Legionnaire's life reveals that meaningful achievements are usually built over time through persistence and repeated effort. Rome itself became powerful not through sudden miracles, but through generations of disciplined endurance carried on the backs of ordinary men. The Roman soldier's experience also demonstrates how adversity reveals true character. During peaceful moments, anyone can appear confident or strong. But when fear, exhaustion, and uncertainty take control, a person's real nature becomes visible. Battlefields exposed cowardice, courage, selfishness, and loyalty with brutal honesty. Soldiers discovered who they truly were when survival depended on their actions under pressure. Hardship stripped away illusions and forced men to confront themselves completely. This remains true in every era. Difficult moments often reveal more about a person's strength than years of comfort ever could. Pressure exposes weaknesses, but it can also uncover resilience people never realized they possessed. Brotherhood inside the Roman legion carries another lesson that remains deeply relevant today. Roman soldiers survived not only because of discipline, but because they depended on one another completely. The shield wall protected the group through unity rather than individual strength alone. Men trusted their lives to the soldiers beside them, forming bonds stronger than fear itself. In modern life, people often become isolated, believing they must face struggles entirely alone. The Roman legion reminds us that resilience grows stronger through loyalty, teamwork, and shared hardship. Human beings endure difficult circumstances more effectively when they support one another instead of fighting every battle in isolation. Fear played a constant role in the life of every legionnaire, yet Roman soldiers learned how to function despite it. Courage in the Roman army did not mean the absence of fear. It meant continuing forward while fear remained present. Before battle, soldiers felt dread just like anyone else. Their hearts raced, their hands shook, and their minds filled with uncertainty. But discipline allowed them to keep advancing anyway. This lesson still matters because fear never fully disappears from human life. People fear failure, rejection, uncertainty, loss, and hardship in countless forms. The Roman soldier teaches that courage is not waiting until fear vanishes. Courage is acting despite fear and refusing to surrender control to it. Another lesson hidden within the legionnaire's life is the danger of weakness created by excess comfort. Roman military culture constantly prepared soldiers for difficulty because leaders understood comfort could reduce readiness and resilience. Men trained under harsh conditions so they would remain capable when real danger appeared. In contrast, societies that become too comfortable often lose the ability to endure pressure effectively. Challenges feel overwhelming when people are unprepared for hardship. The Roman soldier's world was brutal, but it produced individuals capable of surviving enormous adversity because they were conditioned mentally and physically to endure discomfort rather than avoid it. The Roman legionnaire also reveals the importance of purpose in overcoming suffering. Soldiers endured terrible conditions because they believed they served something larger than themselves. Whether loyalty to Rome, devotion to comrades, or hope for honor and survival, purpose gave meaning to hardship that might otherwise feel unbearable. Human beings can tolerate extraordinary struggle when they believe their suffering serves a meaningful goal. Without purpose, even minor difficulties become exhausting. The Roman soldier marched through impossible conditions because he understood why he continued moving forward. Purpose transformed survival from meaningless suffering into disciplined endurance. Across centuries, the image of the Roman legionnaire still resonates because it reflects timeless truths about human resilience. The armor, weapons, and empire belong to history, but the lessons remain alive. Life will always contain struggle, uncertainty, failure, fear, and pain in different forms. The Roman soldier reminds us that strength grows through adversity rather than comfort, that discipline often matters more than emotion, and that endurance becomes possible when people refuse to surrender under pressure. His life stands as proof that ordinary human beings are capable of surviving far more hardship than they often believe when courage, resilience, purpose, and discipline are forged together through struggle.